welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something incredibly useful, building a safe solar battery charger. Now, we're not just going to sit here and blindly trace basic wiring diagrams today. Oh no. Instead, we're going to truly wrap our heads around the electrical theory and the safe solar architecture that makes all of this tick. Because whether you're putting together a portable power station, maintaining a rig like an RV battery, or designing a completely off-grid system, you know what? The foundational principles are exactly the same. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this by addressing a huge, and I mean huge, beginner misconception. Can you connect a solar panel directly to a battery? You see this everywhere in basic DIY tutorials, where folks think, hey, I can just hook the panels straight up to the battery terminals and call it a day, right? But here's the harsh reality. Connecting them directly might seem to work for a brief moment, maybe just enough to trick you, but it is incredibly dangerous for your equipment. Why? Because a solar panel's voltage constantly fluctuates as sunlight changes throughout the day. It's totally unregulated. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Without something in the middle managing that raw energy, your battery is going to face severe overcharging, extreme overheating, and ultimately permanent damage. We absolutely must avoid this trap. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The direct connection myth. 2. Core components and purpose. 3. Math and charging stages. 4. The safe wiring sequence. And 5. Costly mistakes to avoid. Section 1. The direct connection myth. Why direct wiring fails. Section 2. Core components and purpose. The minimum safe architecture. You really don't need a massively complex setup to do this right. So the crucial point is that a safe, functional baseline system consists of just 3 simple interconnected pieces in a very linear flow. First, your solar panel produces the raw electrical energy. That flows down into the charge controller, which steps in to regulate that energy. And finally, that smooth, usable power flows into the battery, which safely stores it for later use. Simple, right? Out of all of this, the absolute hero of your entire setup is the charge controller. You can think of it as the highly intelligent manager acting as the ultimate barrier between that wild, fluctuating solar power we talked about and your delicate battery chemistry. It meticulously monitors the voltage, limits the charging current, prevents overcharging, and it'll even completely disconnect the charging process when required. Make no mistake, having one is completely mandatory for a safe system. Section 3. Math and charging stages. The electrical theory. Okay, we're getting into the electrical theory now, but honestly, don't worry, it's super straightforward. And this brilliantly illustrates how we actually size our gear. This is the primary formula you need to calculate solar charging power. P equals V times I. Or, putting it plainly, power in watts equals voltage multiplied by current in amps. It's really that simple. Your solar panel produces this electrical power, and generally speaking, the more intense the sunlight hitting it, the higher the available current you have to work with. Now, to understand how much energy your battery can actually hold, think of it like the size of your fuel tank. You use this formula. Watt-hours equals battery voltage multiplied by amp-hours. If you know those two numbers, you can easily estimate the total stored energy in your battery. And here's the cool part. If you divide that total battery energy by your charging power from the last step, boom, you get a pretty solid approximation of your charging time. Just remember, it's only an estimate, mainly because the controller is going to dynamically change the charging current as the cycle progresses. And speaking of that charging cycle, let's look at how it actually works. Different battery chemistries require completely different charging behaviors. For instance, with a standard lead-acid battery, your controller is going to transition through bulk, absorption, and float stages. But if you're rocking a lithium iron phosphate or Life PO4 battery, the stages are constant current, constant voltage, and then a hard charge termination. This is exactly why you cannot just use a one-size-fits-all charger profile. Actually, scratch that. If you try a one-size-fits-all approach, you're definitely going to shorten its cycle life or accidentally trigger its internal protection systems. Section 4. The safe wiring sequence, rules of engagement. Listen up, because this right here is the most critical part of building your system safely. Most manufacturers strictly demand this logic. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the simple reason behind it. Connecting the battery first allows the controller to properly recognize the system voltage. If you jump the gun and connect the solar panel before the battery, the controller doesn't have that baseline reference point to initialize properly. And honestly, you can easily fry the electronics right then and there. Battery always comes first. So here is the exact methodical step-by-step sequence we use. Step 1, disconnect, or literally throw a blanket over the solar panel so it isn't producing significant power while your hands are in there. Step 2, install an appropriately sized fuse in the positive conductor right near the battery, then connect the battery positive and negative cables to the controller, and please always verify your polarity with a multimeter. Never ever blindly trust wire colors. Positive to positive, negative to negative. Once that battery is securely connected, you'll see the controller power up. Finally, step 3, connect the solar panel positive and negative conductors to the controller's PV terminals. And once again, triple check that polarity before you make the final connection.
Section 5. Costly mistakes to avoid. Real-world safety. All right, let's look at the most common, painful errors DIYers make that can instantly ruin expensive equipment. First up, a battery can supply an extremely high fault current during a short circuit. We are talking about generating intense heat capable of melting wires in literal seconds. I need to be very direct with you here. Skipping fuse protection is incredibly dangerous. You must install a fuse near the battery's positive terminal. It's one of the absolute simplest, cheapest, and most vital safety measures you can take to protect your wiring from a catastrophic fire-starting fault. Let's rapid fire through the rest of the major safety gaps you need to avoid. We already know to avoid direct candle connections and missing fuses. Next up is incorrect controller sizing. Always verify both the voltage and current ratings. Watch out for reverse polarity. Crossing those wires will destroy your electronics in a heartbeat. You also cannot ignore cold weather voltage increases. This is a sneaky one. Freezing temperatures can actually spike your panel's open circuit voltage right past your controller's maximum limits. Finally, definitely avoid undersized wiring, which causes nasty, dangerous heat buildup, and never ignore your battery chemistry settings. A properly installed, safely wired solar battery charger is truly one of the most reliable and rewarding renewable energy setups you can possibly build. Now that you understand the absolutely crucial relationship between the panel, the controller, and the battery, you've got the exact foundation you need to scale up to massive, complete off-grid systems. So I'll leave you with this question to kickstart your own build. What battery chemistry is going to power your setup? Are we talking lead-acid, AGM, gel, or maybe LiFePO4? Think about how you're going to apply these rules to your specific choice. Thanks for hanging out with me on The Explainer today. Stay safe without wiring and keep learning.